The town existed at the very edge of the map, hidden beyond miles of frozen forest and jagged mountains, where roads vanished under snow and signals died without warning. Life there was quiet, harsh, and predictable, shaped by long winters and the constant presence of wildlife. The people respected the land because they had to. Bears, wolves, and storms were part of survival, not fear. But on the night, everything changed. The forest sounded different. The wind stopped suddenly. The animals went silent, and a deep, unnatural roar rolled through the valley, vibrating windows and waking every soul in town. At first, people thought it was thunder, but the sky was clear, and what followed was far worse screams echoing from the far end of the road, cut short by a sound like metal being torn apart. This town had lived beside grizzly bears for generations. Hunters knew their patterns. Rangers taught children how to avoid encounters, and everyone understood the rules of coexistence. But the signs appearing around the town didn't match anything they had ever seen. Cattle were found treaded and scattered across fields as if thrown by enormous force. Wooden barns were ripped open, steel doors bent outward, and trees snapped clean in half. Tracks pressed deep into frozen ground showed paws far larger than any known bear, with stride lengths that suggested something impossibly massive. Still, when reports reached the outside world, officials dismissed them as panic, blaming hunger, exaggeration, or multiple animals. Inside the town, fear grew quietly, settling into every home like the cold. The first confirmed attack happened just after dusk. A mechanic driving home along the forest road never arrived. His truck was later found crushed against a tree, its engine torn free. The cab flattened as if swatted aside. Blood stained the snow, but there was no body. Witnesses searching nearby swore they saw a towering shape rise on two legs, taller than the trees around it, its breath steaming in the air as it watched them from the shadows. Gunshots rang out, but the bullets seemed to do nothing. The creature disappeared into the forest, leaving behind silence and disbelief. That night, no one slept. Within days, the town was under siege. Power lines were ripped down, plunging streets into darkness. The radio tower collapsed, cutting off all communication. The only road leading out was blocked by fallen trees and landslides that appeared deliberate, as if something wanted to keep the town trapped. At night, people heard heavy footsteps circling houses, claws scraping against walls, and deep breathing just outside their doors. Some saw glowing eyes watching through windows before vanishing into the dark. This was no mindless animal. It was patient, calculating, and terrifyingly aware. Rumors spread faster than the creature itself. Some believed the grizzly was a genetic mutation, altered by illegal experiments deep in the forest. Others whispered about ancient legends, stories of guardian beasts awakened when nature was pushed too far. Whatever the truth, one thing was clear: the monster learned quickly. It attacked during storms when visibility was poor, struck at isolated homes, and avoided traps with uncanny intelligence. When hunters tried baiting it, they found their traps destroyed and the bait untouched, as if the creature understood the danger. As fear turned into desperation, the townspeople organized armed patrols. Former soldiers, experienced hunters, and anyone willing to fight gathered weapons and supplies. They planned an ambush near the tree line, believing numbers and firepower would give them an advantage. When the monster appeared, it charged without hesitation. Gunfire filled the air, but the creature barely slowed, plowing through vehicles, flipping trucks, and swatting men aside like dolls. Screams echoed through the forest as the group scattered. Only a few survived, and those who did returned with eyes empty of hope, whispering that the thing could not be stopped. Food supplies ran low as people refused to leave their homes. Children cried through the night, while parents sat awake with weapons and shaking hands. The monster seemed to enjoy the fear, appearing just long enough to remind everyone it was still there. It clawed at walls, shattered windows, and vanished before dawn. Each morning revealed more destruction, more blood, and fewer people. The town slowly emptied, not from escape, but from death. In a final act of survival, the remaining residents devised a desperate plan. At the edge of town stood an abandoned industrial facility, filled with rusted machinery, fuel tanks, and unstable structures. They believed it could be turned into a trap. Using noise, fire, and sacrifice, they lured the creature toward the site on a moonless night. As it emerged from the forest, its full size became horrifyingly clear. It was larger than any bear, its body covered in scars, its eyes burning with rage and intelligence. The ground shook with every step as it charged. The final confrontation was chaos. Explosions lit the darkness as fuel ignited. Metal collapsed, buildings crumbled, and screams mixed with the monster's deafening roars. People were crushed, torn apart, or thrown aside, but they did not stop. With nothing left to lose, they triggered the final trap. A massive explosion tore through the facility, collapsing the structure and burying the creature beneath fire and debris. The roar faded into silence, broken only by crackling flames and the sound of survivors sobbing in the dark. When dawn arrived, the town was unrecognizable. Smoke drifted through ruined streets, buildings lay in pieces, and bodies were scattered beneath the snow. Only a handful of residents remained alive, wounded and broken. Days later, rescue teams finally reached the town, responding to a faint emergency signal that somehow escaped the blackout. Official reports claimed a rogue animal had been eliminated, the threat neutralized, the incident closed. But deep in the forest, beyond the ruins, investigators found something that chilled them to the bone. Massive footprints, leading away from the site, disappearing into the mountains. Whether the monster truly died or survived remains unknown. The town was never rebuilt, its name fading into forgotten records. Locals from nearby regions still claim to hear roars echoing through the wilderness on quiet nights, and hunters avoid the area entirely. The forest reclaimed what remained, swallowing roads and buildings as if erasing evidence. What happened there stands as a warning that nature is not something to control or experiment with. In isolated places, far from help, terror can rise without mercy, and when it does, there may be no escape.